What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, we are diving into the Ultra League. It is back, and I'm going to be trying out Feraligatr for the first time. I'm deciding to run a Cresselia Poliwrath core, a pretty strong combination in the Ultra League, and utilizing the Feraligatr here as a safe swap. We have a lot of great games today, close wins, close losses. It's going to be a fun one, and I'm just experimenting to see what is possible with Feraligatr, right? Now, secondly, you guys might be looking at my IVs over there. Fair warning, I powered up these Pokemon back in 2018 when PvP first came out. Back when PvP first came out. The Poliwrath might have been a little bit later. The Feraligatr definitely was. I don't have the extra resources to build a new one just yet, but I would obviously take the best IVs if I could, so I'm going to build a new one in the future. If you guys were just wondering, because some of you are. Let's get into the battles. Alright, getting into the first one, we have Cresselia on the lead versus Shiny. Giratina Altered, a Shiny on Shiny battle right here. And what I like about this matchup is the ability to not spam Moonblast, but do super effective damage. Now, Giratina Altered has good matchups against our whole team, and our whole team actually has decent matchups against it. We have Moonblast, we have Icy Wind, and we have Ice Beam. We also have Shadow Claw there as a fast move on Feraligatr, but we're going for the Moonblast here first. It does land, beautiful, 50% HP, already sitting very good. And Cresselia, when it comes to the shielding scenarios, Cresselia doesn't need to be the first one shielding. The Giratina Altered does. So we're going to go ahead and go for Moonblast, looking to KO the Giratina Altered or get the final shield, or the first shield, I should say. We get it. So we're going to go ahead and swap now into the Feraligatr and start loading up on energy. Feraligatr is bulky enough. It would be bulkier if I had better IVs, but it's bulky enough to be able to survive some of these Dragon Claws. And in comes a Shadow Dragonite. I'm like, wow, this is a bold team on their end. A double Dragon ABA formation right here. So what I'm hoping for is a steal in the back. It would make a lot of sense to have that as an ABA formation with this team, with their team, right? But Feraligatr is going to put in work here. Shadow Claw and Hydro Cannon get the shield, and we get to the Ice Beam in time. So Feraligatr here in the ones. It took a lot of damage from Dragon Breath, but my gosh, it's going to be booming today. Boom! See ya, Dragonite! And then we're going to be seeing the Giratina Altered look to come in and load up on energy. Now, I'm kind of fearing the potential Registeel. So what I'm going to do is leverage the farm down here with counter. If it is Registeel, I should be able to clear the debuff from Zap Cannon if I get it, right? So this is my goal, right? I'm trying to read that it's a steal in the back. I'm playing to that. I'm going to no-shield everything here from Giratina Altered because I'm not going to get KO'd by any of the moves. We have plenty of energy. Final Pokemon. Well, it's a Swampert. So, it's a good game regardless. If it had been Registeel, obviously, we look to go for Double Scald. If we get the debuff, we swap into Cresselia. But now I'm swapping into Cresselia anyways because I should be able to outpace this Swampert to the second charge move that they're looking to throw. So the Hydro Cannon is going to be shielded. We get to the Grass Knot, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. Obviously, Feraligatr was pivotal there in the mid-game, in the 2-to-1 shield advantage, able to, boom! That Dragonite, along with Swampert going down. Good battle. All right, moving to the next one. Cresselia versus Shadow Ampharos. My gosh, the comments must be saying Shadow Ampharos before they even see this game. What you guys want to do is stay in here against the Ampharos to a certain point, and you guys will see why. We're going to go ahead and go for Grass Knots. It is going to be doing quite a bit of neutral damage. Two of them, they can't really, I mean, they could survive, but we're going to put the pressure down. Now, Brutal Swing is super effective damage, but it by no means one-shots. We can easily survive one or two. We're going to go ahead and let this one, I believe I let this one go. Yeah, I let this one go. The Brutal Swing does land, and now we go for the Grass Knot here. We're hoping to get a shield. If we don't, we still get the fast move down with Feraligatr. So we're going to go ahead and try to commit the fast down with Cresselia. We get it. All right, perfect. And then the next Pokemon is going to be Skeletor, so we're going to swap into Feraligatr here, and we draw out a Staraptor. My hope was, obviously, that there isn't going to be another Electric in the back, and if there was, in fact, something weak to the water typings here of Feraligatr and Poliwrath, we would be able to draw out the next best answer on their team, which in this case is going to be a Staraptor. Very spicy on there, and not going to lie, Shadow Shadow Claw, not doing a lot for me because of the resistances, but we are able to spam charge moves here with Hydro Cannon. So we're going to go ahead and let this go. Obviously, Poliwrath is our win condition with the 2 shields. The Fly, we're able to survive, and we get to the next Hydro Cannon in time. That is 3 that we were able to get to right here as Feraligatr takes down the Staraptor. Boom, see ya. And the Skeledirge now is coming in. So we still have a battle in front of us. What we need to do is leverage the ability to catch a charge move, which is why I love keeping a Pokemon alive in the Ultra League. If you guys haven't noticed over the years, most of you probably have, I always like to keep a Pokemon alive because sacrificial swaps is what makes or breaks these Ultra League games, as Skeledirge is very predictable to catch the charge move as we catch the Disarming Voice right there, and now we are safe to go for the back-to-back Scald. Did we need to catch? No. Like, we could have double shielded and we would have been fine. Did we catch because we could and practice makes perfect? Yes. Boom, see ya. Alright, moving into the next battle, we have Sandslash on the lead. Tough lead right here. We're going to go ahead and look to stay in a bit. And I mean, in hindsight, I should maybe be swapping out right away. The tough thing about Alolan Sandslash is if it gets a lot of energy. And this is something that, you know, you're coming back to the Ultra League, you got to remember there's a lot of energy that it can get right here. And they're clearly just going to overload. They're in a safe position to do so. So what I'm hoping to do is similar to the previous matchup where I let Cresselia soak 2 of the charge moves. Last game it was the Brutal Swings from the Shadow Ampharos. This game it is going to be the Drill Runs from the Sandslash, and then we're going to go ahead and go into Feraligatr now and start loading up on energy. They swap in a Tentacruel, so a good pairing right there on their side. I mean, they'd have to watch out for Mudboys, but ultimately Mudboys aren't too common in this meta. It is more common to see maybe Fairy-type Pokemon or fighters up here. So we're going to go ahead and just go straight Hydro Cannons in this situation. Shadow Claw and Hydro Cannon can really start adding up. And we just got to be careful about shielding a Acid Spray. So I'm going to let this go. It is going to be Scald. Still does a good amount of damage. And then we're going to go ahead and go for the Hydro Cannon here. And this is where the Feraligatr can really start to shine, is in these very close matches where we might just be able to Shadow Claw down. But, oh, we don't get it in time, unfortunately. Now, this is the tough call that I have. I have a Cresselia with not a lot of health, but I do have a Grass Knot, so I come in right away and look to throw the charge move. Now, there is still the Sandslash that I have to deal with, so I'm going to go ahead and swap into Poliwrath to get ahead on energy, and they decide to stay in and throw. So I'm going to calculate that this is the hardest hitting move left in the game because they wouldn't throw if it wasn't, and it was. It was. That was a beautiful call. Now, I'm going straight Icy Wind. Why is that? Counter damage is what's going to win this game, and Icy Winds, they're probably just going to let it go anyways because they're knowing the count. I'm going to decide to shield right here. They did have enough for Scald, so I'm going to go ahead and stop that damage, and then I'm going to look to just go for another Icy Wind. I'm not messing around. I am going to outpace in terms of counter damage, and I still have my what? My Cresselia in the back to potentially catch a sack swap. So we're going to go ahead and remember they still have 2 shields right now, or maybe did they just shield the previous one? We'll have to see. I was looking at you guys. No, they have 1 shield remaining. So now we're in a very good position. I'm going to go ahead and go for another Icy Wind. And this is where my opponent is going to try to make a play. But unfortunately, it was just slightly mistimed. They decide to swap in, and I get to fully counter it down. So that is going to be a good game. I can go ahead and go for Icy Wind now because my terrible IVs, I win Charge Attack Priority, which is going to be winning, they're getting the final shield, but it actually didn't right there. And then now, Cresselia is going to be able to safely come in and fast move down, or get to the Grass Knot. Sorry, I didn't get the final shield because they didn't have any left, but the Grass Knot, you guys get the point, is going to be taking out the Poliwrath. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. Going for those Icy Winds was pivotal. Obviously, my opponent made a slight misplay there, but ultimately, good battle. All right, moving to the next one. Dragonite on the lead, Shadow Dragonite. This is a bit different than the Giratina Altered matchup, and that's because of how much damage Dragon Breath is doing. As you guys will see, Dragon Breath and Dragon Claw is a lot more damage than the Shadow Claw Shadow Sneak from Giratina Altered. It gets us to 50% right here by the time we get to a Moonblast, which against Giratina Altered, we usually at like the 60, maybe 70% health range, as Moonblast does get a shield, so we're going to go ahead and swap into Feraligatr now to get ahead on energy. I should go for Hydro Cannon right there, but I didn't. I could have gotten a free shield potentially because Hydro Cannon's still going to do a lot of damage, and this might come back to bite me as they decide to now swap out into Tapu Fini. So I didn't get a lot of charge move pressure that I should have been trying to get there against the Dragonite, because had the Hydro Cannon landed, right, it would have still survived, but it's that added damage that's going to potentially allow us to win later on with the Poliwrath encounter, right? Now we have the Feraligatr here against Tapu Fini, and as you guys can see, Shadow Claw and Hydro Cannon are starting to put in work. I'm also going to go ahead and commit a shield right here, my final one, as it is going to be Moonblast, and then try to see if we can make this game work. I have a lot of health still on Cresselia, so I don't necessarily need to keep a shield alive. What I want to do is have a charge move ready to go for the Dragonite coming in to get that shield back that I didn't get earlier, or chunk the health. So let's see what happens. We get the shield, perfect. They're going to go ahead and look to commit to the farm down, which they will get. And now I'm in a kind of a tough position. They have a lot of energy. I'm going to come in with Cresselia. I'm not sure if there is another water, and if there is, I'm guessing it might be a Feraligatr like myself. So we're going to try to get to Grass Knot in time, but they swap in. It's a defense form Deoxys. There's really not a lot we can do now. My only hope here is that Moonblast applies the attack debuff as we swap in, but we don't get it. Had we got that attack debuff, maybe we turn this around, but ultimately the Shadow Dragonite still has a lot of energy, and the defense form Deoxys versus the Poliwrath matchup is very tough. So good game to my opponent. I think I slightly misplayed that game again. You guys saw I overloaded too much with Feraligatr and they swapped out freely into Tapu Fini. I should have punished them staying in too long to get a shield earlier, and I think we might have been able to win this game. So we're going to go down to the Psycho Boost, boom, and Cresselia is also going to go down here to Thunderbolt. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. There's really not a lot I can do. There's still that Dragonite that's pretty healthy in the back, and yeah. Good battle right here. So Deoxys is going to be taking us out. All right, moving into the next one. We have Cresselia on the lead versus Heliolisk. So this is a pretty spicy electric Pokemon, but it has access to Breaking Swipe and Thunderbolt. So I'm not too concerned about these charge moves here on Cresselia. Shadow Ampharos is a little more dangerous because of the Brutal Swing, right? So we're going to go ahead and let it go. It is going to be Breaking Swipe. Now, Breaking Swipe got nerfed. If you guys maybe are coming back, in a previous season, Breaking Swipe was a 100% chance to apply the debuff. Now it's only 50% chance after Steelix just ruined Go Battle League. They nerfed that pretty hard, and Rayquaza is frustrated at the non-dragon trying to be a dragon, right? Now we do see a swap here into Tentacruel. I believe it's Tentacruel. The water poison typing. Yep, going to be the Tentacruel, so we're going to go ahead and swap into Feraligatr. We don't have a great matchup against Tentacruel. We have Teamwork make the dream work in this situation, right? So the Grass Knot there from Cresselia, the Shadow Claws and Hydro Cannons really just got to start whittling away the health of the Tentacruel as they decide to go for Acid Spray. So that was a good call to no-shield right there. I was expecting Scald, which I could have no-shielded as well, but we're going to go ahead and just go for another Hydro Cannon. We're just trying to get this low. We're not necessarily trying to win Switch. Why is that? Because the Heliolisk is part normal typing. It's electric normal, and it doesn't have a lot of energy, so Poliwrath would be able to counter down pretty quickly, and what we're going to see is they actually farm me down just in time. So I'm going to go ahead and come in with Cresselia to soak the charge move that they might throw, but they don't get it. And then we do see Heliolisk come in, so I'm going to go ahead and go for Grass Knot now. This should be, they're obviously very fearful of the Cresselia, which tells me maybe it's a Poliwrath in the back, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and swap into my own Poliwrath. And as you guys can see, the counter damage is really starting to chunk the health there on Heliolisk. So we go ahead and stop the Breaking Swipe, just making sure it wasn't Thunderbolt, and it's actually going to be Politoed in the back. So same, but different. The cousin, right? As Poliwrath is going to be looking to go for Icy Winds. Ironically, if we think about it, generationally it goes the parents down, but in this case it goes the children up. They decided to go... Anyways, the Poliwrath here, we're in a very good position as we can just go straight Scalds. We're going to look to try to catch a charge move as well on the Cresselia. It's low enough where we might be able to do that. And I'm very fearful of an Earthquake. They clearly have Scald, which is what they're deciding to throw. And then they're just throwing it right away, so I don't even think they're worried. Again, anticipating a potential swap by my opponent as well, as they still have the Heliolisk. So I'm going to go ahead and shield this next charge move. I'm thinking they're going to be swapping soon. There's the swap, so I didn't throw. I was anticipating that. And now I go for the Icy Wind here to apply the debuff to my opponent so that Cresselia or Poliwrath might be able to win this game. As we get the debuff there, I'd swap into Cresselia to try to catch the charge move. They throw the energy anyways, which is good. Because Scald is going to be taking us out, and then Poliwrath does 2 more counters, and our Scald here should be able to win. So the Poliwrath family obviously a little bit more powerful in this matchup thanks to counter, so that is going to be a good game, very well played. Alright, moving to the next one, Cresselia versus Zygarde here on the lead. So Zygarde, very interesting Pokemon, Dragon and Ground, has access to Dragon Tail and Crunch, I believe, but it's also extremely weak to Moonblast, Ice Beam, and Icy Wind. So we're in a very good position to get ourselves resources from our opponent. We got the attack drop as well, which is going to allow us to safely no-shield these Crunches as they just don't do enough damage. And now we're going to be able to get to this next Moonblast. They swap out into Feraligatr to try to catch the charge move, and Cresselia now primed here to do a lot of damage with Grass Knot. We decide to swap into Poliwrath now. We resist the Hydro Cannon and Ice Beam, and we can safely counter down, and we'll have Icy Wind on the back end there versus the Zygarde that was on the lead. Or we see Pokemon number 3, which then we can make the best informed decision in order to win this game. So let's see what decides to come in. It is going to be... It's going to be Poliwrath Mirror. Okay, so in this situation, before I was going straight Icy Wind. Why? It was the end game. They couldn't clear the debuff. It was a counter race. Now, I'm utilizing Poliwrath to do more damage, and then I'm going to go ahead and go for the debuff here because I know the Icy Wind is going to apply the attack debuff. They swap into Zygarde, and they're going to try to commit to the full farm down, but unfortunately, I survive with 1 HP in a dream, and I'm able to get the Icy Wind off for super effective damage, and it nearly one-shots right there. And then we should be able to win this game with Feraligatr and Cresselia. We still have 2 shields remaining, and unfortunately for Poliwrath, there's just not a lot it can do as we Shadow Claw down the Zygarde, and this is going to be a good game. We can easily go Hydro Cannon spam. We could come in with Cresselia and go for Grass Knots. Either way, it is all over for this poor Poliwrath as they decide to throw the charge move. I'm going to go ahead and shield right here just to ensure that we stay healthy, and then we should be able to fast move down with Shadow Claw, and I think my opponent knows it as well, so that is going to be a good game, very well played. Alright, moving into the next one. We have Poliwrath on the lead. So this is going to be a pretty good lead matchup for us. Now, obviously, Grass Knot is going to be doing super effective damage here, but the question is, why are they staying in? That's what you got to start asking yourself, and why are they shielding? They must be very weak to Cresselia, so we need to start considering that. What else could they have in the back? Maybe they have another water type. Maybe they're running an ABA formation. Maybe they have a Feraligatr back there. But they actually have a Shadow Gliscor that decides to swap in. So my next thought was maybe it's Giratina altered, potentially. Maybe they didn't want to see the Moonblast. But Feraligatr right here, they have enough energy for Earthquake, so I'm going to opt to shield, and it was the Earthquake. That is beautiful. And now I'm going to overload on energy and go for Hydro Cannon. It's still going to do super effective damage, and I imagine it one-shots and they actually decide to shield, which is good. We got the final shield from my opponent. I can safely no shield. This is just going to be a Night Slash, and considering I won charge attack priority right there, I'm going to go ahead and throw on 4 again, and then look to win that charge attack priority. So I get the most energy possible in this matchup while maintaining good health, switch advantage, and a shield. Now they decide to come back in with Poliwrath, and we got to start wondering what do they have in the back. I'm starting to think maybe a dragon back there, maybe Giratina Altered. So I decide to swap into Cresselia and actually go for the cheeky Grass Knot to catch them off guard. In order to chunk a lot of free health from Poliwrath. And then we should be able to fast move down. We'll have a Moonblast, we'll have a Grass Knot, we have Poliwrath, we still have the Feraligatr, and it's Tapu Koko in the back. And I'm like, what? Okay. Haven't faced off against Tapu Koko ever since it got its new move. But we're going to go ahead and go for Moonblast in this situation, and we will see just how much damage this move is going to be doing. So we're going to go ahead and let it go. It is going to be Nature's Madness. That is enough to KO. And then we got to come in with Poliwrath right here and obviously just try to get to an Icy Wind to close this game out. Now, Tapu Koko looks to be pretty light on the defenses. Counter's doing a considerable amount of damage right there. We're going to go ahead and shield the Nature's Madness. They do have Switch up, so I'm going to go ahead and throw the Icy Wind before they can bail out to try to catch a charge move. And this Icy Wind should be enough damage to knock them out. And then we countered down the Poliwrath, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. That team was quite fun to use, to be honest. My initial thoughts of Feraligatr. I think it is pretty strong in this meta. It's obviously highly ranked. I would love to give the Shadow a try one day. I also noticed that I was pretty squishy, but I think that might also come down to my IVs. I wasn't able to optimize that in order to get a lot more tanky. But what I did like is the coverage that it had against stuff like Dragonite, like we saw against the Gliscor. I'm still able to put in a lot of work against Pokemon like Tapu Fini, put pressure on Giratina Altereds. It's a great pivotal Pokemon, I think, in this meta. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.